I believe that if we are honest with ourselves, that the most fascinating problem in the world is who am I? What do you mean? What do you feel when you say the word I myself?
I wanna fly the train! I don't give a fuck! Oh, jeez! Hey, what's going on?
¿Yo qué veo Santa Fe? Ahorita no think of me as what you're thinking of.
Oh, jeez! Hey, what's going on? I don't give a fuck! Oh, jeez! Hey, what's going on?
Ignore this particular problem until it swings up and bites you on the ass.
Psych, just kidding. My new catchphrase is, I don't give a fuck!
It's asking a lot to believe that the problem is going to fix itself.
Guess what, bitch?
Our technology and our numbers have both reached a state where inadvertently we can pose a danger to the global environment, especially through the atmosphere.
The whales have a 15-foot penis. Are you a pervert or something? Okay.
Now, nobody pretends we understand everything about the global climate.
I didn't cut out. You heard me. Google it yourself.
There are feedbacks, some of which you warm the Earth a little bit, and the tendency will be to further increase the temperature, so-called positive feedback.
What I'm saying is the planet's on fucking fire.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? Oh shit, I almost dropped my beer. Luckily, it's not open yet. All right, so tonight, my fat ass is sitting down because I don't feel like standing the fuck up. And but I'm still going to use my voice. So tonight, though, we are going to be taking a look at a video where a couple of creationists sit down and basically try to explain atheism. Now, I don't know if it's necessarily for atheists or if it's for religious people that just apparently have never heard of atheists or something like that. I don't know. I'm sure all of the Skeptic Mafia members can tell you that it's a pretty dumb as fuck video with these two clueless creationists trying to talk shit about atheism. So we're going to be getting into that today. If you guys don't know, the any of the money that we make here on Godless Engineer, a portion of that goes to a charity that we pick each month. This month we're going to give to Feeding Texas. So, right. So last month we had said that we were going to be giving money to Direct Relief, but we called it an Audible this month, considering what's going on in Texas. So we wanted to try to give a little bit of money to help some people out there in Texas. So we're going to be giving it to, Feeding Texas. Feeding Texas. We've already got a couple of super chats in today. Really appreciate that, guys. Well, apparently it's no, it had the wrong thing selected, so people didn't get to hear what Brocephus said. But so I got that fixed now, though, so you guys should be hearing it here soon. So what I'm gonna forego the Today I Learns and shitty ass science and the comments and everything like that, because the video that we have tonight is quite long, and if we don't forego those, then it'll be midnight before we're done with the show. I don't really have all that much time tonight. So I do want to get through a couple of these super chats. Like I said before, though, a portion of super chats, a portion of Skeptic Mafia memberships, and just any money that's made on the channel goes to a charity. And this month we're doing Feeding Texas, where we are going to be trying to help out the people over there in Texas with this deep freeze situation. So we're going to be doing that. We got a few super chats.
Donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
Both Jonathan and Quentin are going to hell. So let me let's do the intro thing, and we will be right back. All right, so we got Nicola Tovar, who upgraded their memberships. Thank you so much, Nicola. Appreciate you being part of the Skeptic Mafia. Like I said before, a portion of your Skeptic Mafia membership will go into charity, and this month it's Feeding Texas. We also had super chats from Quentin Van Boeven, who said, "Getting my weekly tithe in early. Let's help the Texans," because obviously Ted Cruz would rather be in Cancun. Jonathan Handshake says, huh?
Hey, best thing Ted Cruz can do for Texas is fuck right off out of it.
Yes, the best thing that Ted Cruz can do for Texas is fuck right off out of it. Jonathan Handshake says, "Here's some coffee money for KC, no beer for you." Oh, no, I've got my beer tonight, so sorry about that, Handshake. Daniel M says, "David says good night, and he wants to introduce you to two stuffed dogs, Knock Knock and Mara. Mara is the white dog, and Knock Knock is brown." Well, Mara is the best white dog, and Knock Knock is the best brown dog. David, those look awesome, and I hope you have a good night there, bud. All right. So let's now that all the super chat stuff's out of the way, again, definitely help us out here on the channel. If you can't, that's fine too. Our content is always going to be free to watch and everything like that. We got another Uhan saying, "I'm late to the party. What up, y'all?"
Woo! That's KC's money.
You gave me the $2 spot?
Well, I mean, I had to put you you want me to put you up there?
I want the $20 spot.
You want the $20 spot?
No.
Okay. No, well, I'll do you another one for $20. How's that? If you guys haven't noticed, we do have some new Brocephus alerts. A couple of them have already shown for the $4.99 and then the $2 one. I think there's one more $2. No. There's one more new $5 one, and then there's one new $20 one that you guys can do. So
listen, donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
Thank you so much, Jesse, for securing your seat in hell. Jesse says, "Here's some money for Texas. Happy to go to hell for sending it. At least I'll be in good company." I agree. All right. So, Uhan, KC's money for. Thank you so much there, Uhan. I appreciate it. See, if you complain enough, you'll get what you want. Yeah. Let's see. That's obviously not the new one. But anyways, we're gonna get into the video. We're gonna be talking about what is atheism. We're gonna be talking about, what it means to be an atheist, I guess. Well, Michelle says I want to go to HE double hockey sticks too, but she just gave me beer money, which here we go. There we go. You know I did. Drop the lid on the floor, and right now I don't care. All right. Well, if you guys are ready, I am ready too. And so we're going to hop on over to the response video portion. Before we get into the response, though, Mike mixes. I am in Texas defrosting my house, but here you go. I'm so sorry there, Mike. I hate that you're there.
Woo! That's KC's money.
I will forever remember that KC is so offended by being at the 199 spot. I wanted to be sure that people actually saw it.
You know what? You made me 10 cents a dance. Just move.
All right, here we go. We're going to be getting into the response video now. Thank you so much for everybody that has donated so far. We're going to be able to donate a pretty good bit of money to the Texans this month, so really appreciate it, guys. So we are going to go ahead and start the video, and hopefully you guys can hear it.
What is atheism? A lack of a belief in God, or belief that no God exists?
Well, so this is a bit of false dichotomy starting right off the bat. So kudos to you for getting it wrong right out the gate, because lack of faith could be a possible definition that people use. Really, it's just a non-belief in a deity. It's just simply not believing in your bullshit claims. Now, there are hard atheists or Gnostic atheists that go the extra mile and say that God definitely doesn't exist. And that's fine. I don't feel like I have, any kind of good argument to support that particular position. That's why I go the more agnostic atheist route. And I say that I don't know whether or not a God exists, but I just don't believe in a God. And so that I kind of feel like the way that you painted it is a bit black and white. And so it kind of seems like you're committing a false dichotomy fallacy right out the gate. Oh yeah, this is by creation.com or the Creation Ministries International. So these are the head folks of the crazy Christians, it seems. Daniel M sending in another super chat. David thinks you can actually see his stuffed animals. He stands in front of the TV and holds them up and talks to you. Oh,
Cutest.
that is so awesome there, David. I'm glad that you're so very happy with your white and brown dogs there. Knock knock and Mara. Yeah.
Hi there, I'm Keaton Halley, and joining me today on the program is
Keaton?
Dr. Jonathan Sarfati.
G'day, everyone.
What's up, Jonathan?
Well, let's talk about this question of the definition of atheism in the last, I think it's maybe a decade or so.
Well, so first off, I'm often whenever somebody wants to talk either very condescendingly to me or they think that they're referencing me in a very formal way, they'll call me Jonathan. I just wanted to say that's really annoying when somebody tries to call me Jonathan. I'm like, my name's just John, not Jonathan. Thank you.
John's not short.
No, John is definitely not short for anything other than the shitter.
Atheists have been part of a movement to sort of redefine the term. Why don't you tell us historically what has it meant and what's the definition that they're now giving?
You can go to philosophical dictionaries of not that long ago, and they would say that atheism affirms the non-existence of God. It's an active disbelief in God, active belief in God's non-existence. But now you got some revisionism going on saying that atheism is just a lack of belief in God. That's quite a big difference.
Yeah.
No, you're fine, hun. You're right. It's not revisionism. I mean, yeah, I feel like this is yet another fallacy. You know, what I really need to do up on my stream deck is a fallacy counter for these fucking.
Hey, y'all know what? Any time is a good time for a beer.
No. You are. There's multiple ones, honey. They randomly select which things are going to pop up. I'm very tricky when it comes to the notifications. Everybody seems to really like the going to hell thing, though. Okay, so this is not revisionist history whatsoever. This would be like a fallacy of tradition or an appeal to tradition. Like, he's saying traditionally when people talk about atheism, they're talking about the positive claim that God does not exist, or God or gods. And so, I mean, what he's appealing to is a very old definition or a very old understanding of this entire conversation. To suggest that the conversation is not going to evolve over time, or people aren't going to come into different, different ways to view like atheism on the whole, is just a bit. It's just fallacious as fuck, because that's not how our language works. That's not how anything has ever worked. I mean, being a Christian has changed, a lot over time. So to say, oh, I'm a Christian now means something drastically different than it did, 1,000 years ago. So to suggest that these terms have to stay in these very strict definitions is just wrong. And it's definitely the wrong way to go about arguing your point here. And I wouldn't say that presently it's just a lack of belief. There's a lot more nuance to the subject of atheism in general. Some people see it as just a lack of belief in a God. Other people see it as a non-belief in a deity figure, or deity or deities. Some people...
Woo! Bear money!
Some people go the the route of,
listen, donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
Some people, take the more Gnostic route of asserting that God doesn't exist. And then there's even the nuanced situation of getting into specific definitions of God, because while I'm an agnostic atheist on the deity question in general, I'm very Gnostic about particular definitions, like Yahweh or Allah or any definition of God that we currently have. I would say that I'm Gnostic about those particular gods, or I'm a hard atheist about those gods. I definitely can assert that those gods do not exist, and I can support my positive claim that they don't exist with evidence. So the way that they're framing this right out the gate is just totally ignoring the nuances of the conversation. And so they're starting out on a bad foot, and they're trying to lead people down a very particular path in which they've constructed this narrative around. Oh, let me do these super chats. We got Dave Lee, or I think Uhan was first. Hello, Jonathan. You knew this was coming. And then Dave Lee said, let's talk about that 1970s wood paneling. I know, right? Somebody needs to get a clue. Gary White, who went to hell, weirdly enough, says, okay, does he even know that he is about to make us fall asleep? Maybe, but then again, I think that he'll anger you enough to where you'll stay awake.
Yeah. Why do you think the reason for the change?
Because I kept on losing arguments. Well, I mean, the thing is, if it's their the usual definition, then the burden of proof is on them to show their conclusion is right. But if they just say it's a lack of belief, then they try to shift the burden of proof onto us to give positive evidence while they don't have to give any evidence for their own position.
As far as atheism goes, I don't have to give any kind of evidence for your God's non-existence. You are the one making the positive claim, thus making you the one that has to show how your God definitely does exist, preferably with evidence, not necessarily arguments, but just give me good evidence to suggest that a God does exist. And that just gets you to this ambiguous God deity. It doesn't actually get you to your specific definition of God. So the neutral position is a secular position where you have no concern about whether or not God exists. And then if you want to assert that a God exists, you have to provide evidence for it. So you stay in this secular position, or this very atheistic position of just not believing in a God, having a non-belief in a deity. We've never had the burden of proof, at least in the modern version of this conversation. Now, I can't really speak to whether or not atheists in the past kept losing arguments, but considering that you're creationists and you think that atheists lose the argument every single time, no matter what, just because they are atheists, it doesn't really seem to matter whether or not they used to lose or they previously lost all of their arguments, because according to you, we are still losing the arguments. So that just seems like a non-point and kind of like just a personal jab at atheists there. Kind of petty, if you ask me. Casey said, bitch.
Any evidence for their own position.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. That it seems almost like a cheap move, a shifting of the goalposts to avoid having.
Any time is a good time for a beer.
Having to actually give reasons for the view that they hold, which of course many of them do believe that God doesn't exist. This is why they argue that way in debates and write books on the subject and so forth.
Yeah, they better.
Well, hold on. We have to be very specific here, because I would hazard to guess that most atheists are saying that your particular God doesn't exist, and not this like ambiguous deity figure that. What are you doing?
I blew my load.
I did leave it in there. Most of the time when these conversations happen, we're not talking about this ambiguous God figure, right? This ambiguous deity. We're talking about specific definitions. So whenever like an atheist and a Christian are discussing whether or not God exists, it's never really the question of whether or not an ambiguous God deity exists, like just in general. It's always a very specific definition. So I feel like without specifying that you're talking about just a supernatural deity, then we're more or less going to be on the playing field of specific definitions. So I would say that most atheists would say, I don't believe in a God because he hasn't been proven to exist, and I don't know whether or not a God does exist. He could exist, he could not exist. We just simply don't know, but I don't believe he does. You have to understand the nuances of this conversation. If you leave them out when you're talking about it in this kind of fashion, it makes it seem like you're purposefully leading people down a specific path you've already crafted a narrative for.
And so forth.
Yeah, there's a lot of trouble to go to.
Oh, so sorry. Let's see. Mike Mick says local Texas churches had lights on and doors closed. That kind of seems shitty. Nicola Tovar says I would also like to go to HE double hockey sticks if that's okay. You could definitely go to hell there, Nicola. I'm fine with that.
I mean, I don't have to give reasons for my lack of belief in Santa Claus, or green cheese on the moon or whatever it is. I mean, and the thing is, I mean, they used to talk about agnosticism, which is I don't know, or strong agnosticism, which is no one can know, which is what T.H. Huxley, Darwin's bulldog, invented that term, and that's how he meant to use it.
Yeah, so there was already a term in existence for somebody who lacked belief in God. Agnosticism better fits that bill.
Right.
Whereas now it's almost like we don't have a word for someone who denies God's existence.
Oh, I can think of words like...
All right, we're about to get into his words, which he throws in a doozy as his third word. But I mean, we haven't replaced agnosticism. I like how they're talking about knowledge and belief as if they're the same thing. I mean, knowledge should inform your beliefs, but they are, different things to talk about. So when I say I don't believe in a God, that doesn't mean that I know that a God doesn't exist or that I'm making some kind of positive claim that he doesn't exist. I'm just saying that I don't believe in a God. And I would also classify agnostics as being in the atheist category, just myself personally, although I'm not going to force that label on anybody. Agnostics themselves don't believe in a God. So I would say that puts them in the atheist category, but that's why I don both of the labels, agnostic, atheist, because specifically my position is I don't know whether or not a God exists, but I don't believe that he does. That agnostic, atheist, that label perfectly describes my position on God in general. So to say that agnostic is just, somebody that lacks a belief in it, it's just misapplying the label. Right. Like if you're talking about the pure agnostic position, talking about the pure agnostic position is somebody that just doesn't know what they believe. At least that's how it seems to be colloquially used. But in general, you can be agnostic about anything. Agnostic just speaks about your knowledge about a subject. Do I know that a God exists? No. Do I know that, a meteorite's not going to, destroy my apartment? I don't know that it won't, but I don't believe that that will happen. So you have to understand the nuances between knowledge and belief, and these guys seem to be confusing the two.
It's like anti-theist, someone who's actually against the idea of theism. That's anti-theism, or I'd actually say misotheism. I wasn't the one who invented that, unfortunately. I did think of it independently.
What does that one mean?
That means God hatred.
Okay.
God haters. I've also used the word atheopath, a pathological promotion of atheism and hatred of theism.
Yeah.
So I've looked up atheopath to see if it's an actual word. It's not. It's not in a dictionary or anything like that, which doesn't mean that it can't be, I guess, created and put into a dictionary. But the only places that I've seen atheopath, like, published at, like, on the internet, the only place you can find atheopath is on creationist websites who are trying to portray atheists, at least the atheists that are very vocal about not believing in a God and fight against creationists, as well as, religious people that want to push their agenda through the government or in any other kind of way. Those are atheopaths to them. People that pathologically, like, don't believe in a God, tell everybody about it, and fight against them and their crazy, batshit insane ideas. So it's just kind of weird. The other two, I mean, I'm fine with those labels. Not as atheists. They're talking about people that are hard atheists.
Well, those words mean other.
They do. No, I agree. Hard anti-theist is not hard atheist, or hard atheism or whatever. But it kind of seems to me like whoever this is has not actually researched this topic area, because I mean he would have come into agnostic, gnostic, or hard and soft, because there's both of those flavors of theist and atheist exist. When I was figuring out what I did or didn't believe, one of the first things that I came across was Gnostic and agnostic, hard and soft atheism. I would say that most Christians fall in the Gnostic or hard theist category, while most atheists seem to fall in the soft or agnostic atheist column. So I don't know why he's making up terms in order to try to classify atheists as agnostic or Gnostic, but we've already got labels for this. You don't need to make up bullshit words.
And people
Yeah.
aren't atheists. They believe that they want to back to God as if God is
Right. Yeah, you're right, honey. If for I don't know if it came through all that clear, but she was just saying that if you hate God, then you're not an atheist, because atheists don't hate God because we don't believe in a God to hate. You know, I mean, it just doesn't make sense to say that atheists are misotheists or anything like that. Definitely, atheists can be people that there are misotheists out there, somebody that actively hates God, but I would doubt that they would say that they're atheists. But I mean, I don't know any, so maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so
well,
you
fair
can
enough.
use
But
words.
of course, most atheists wouldn't describe themselves in that way. So, although I have heard some use the term anti-theist of themselves.
I think Lawrence Krauss was one of those, the cosmologist, cosmogonist. Yeah, I think he says he's an anti-theist, but it's the atheist's own fault for trying to redefine when they're losing, and therefore what choice we have but to try and define, what choice we have but to try and find a word that describes what we're dealing with.
Yeah, good point.
You know, I could say the same bullshit about Christians. I mean, trying to juggle all of the different denominations and what you do and do not believe are required to get into heaven is just fucking frustrating. I mean, if I have to learn the 62,000 different denominations that make up Christianity, I'm sure that you can bear to understand the 3 or 4 different types of atheists that exist. Bitch.
Yeah, good point. Well, it seems to me that if you abandon the traditional definition of atheism, then you've got this problem where, ironically, almost theism and atheism could both be true at the same time.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? Goodness.
Because the new definition doesn't refer to belief in God per se, but just to the sort of psychological state of the so-called atheist.
You have to understand how ridiculous you sound right now, because I mean, yes, how most atheists, use the label atheism or atheist just refers to what they do or do not believe. But this would be the same case as anybody else that's used a label in a similar manner. We're not using the label to indicate what is true about reality. We're using the label to describe us, what we believe. So you have to understand that I find it rather astonishing that you think that both atheism and theism can be correct in a sense, in an absolute sense. Like both God can both exist and non-exist. It's fucking Schrodinger's God, apparently. I'm not even sure if they would even understand that particular reference, but the fact that they don't grasp what the label is actually doing is astonishing itself.
Atheist. So
I
what I mean,
belief. There could be a God, but I just like belief in this God.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. So,
okay.
Of course, if God exists, then theism would be true. And if someone lacks belief in that God, then atheism would be true.
Yeah, that's true. Both would be true. It's a reductio ad absurdum position of that redefinition.
Yeah, exactly.
The atheist.
I don't really understand what in the fuck they just said. it just kind of seemed like a whole bunch of fucking word salad, because they just simply don't understand this conversation. And I really don't think that they should be trying to tell people about what atheists believe or don't believe while not understanding the conversation that they're even having.
But it's really nice that we have these two theists sitting around talking about and trying to
Oh,
Thank
yes.
you for that. Go fuck yourself.
And thank you, Connor Harris. Connor says, I'm Christian and I disagree with some of what you say, but still respect what you do, GE. Thanks for the channel. I've learned a lot from it. Thank you so much, Connor, for, being a part of the channel here, watching and everything like that. I'm fine with disagreement. We all disagree on something at one point or another. So I appreciate you having an open mind and listening to what I got to say. Yeah, I'm kind of glad you didn't get the go. You're going to hell. One, obviously that wouldn't be true regardless of whether or not a god or hell exists. Everybody else is still going to hell, though. Trust me.
The atheists have to make certain assumptions. They have certain propositions they have to believe. They have to believe that something can come into existence from nothing.
Yeah.
They got no proof or evidence or even any evidence that's a rational position to hold that something can come from nothing uncaused, because if it doesn't exist, it can't cause anything.
Mm.
So nothing can't do anything. It can't cause anything. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a common thing. They like apologists like this will often extend atheism into subject areas that atheism is just simply not concerned with. Atheism and theism, for that matter, are only concerned with whether or not you believe in a god, right? It has nothing to do with the beginning of the universe. But just because you don't understand our argument for what happened at the beginning of the universe.
Woo! That's KC's money.
Yeah, my money.
See, you're getting a lot. I mean, it's not the.
That's KC's money.
See, Quentin Van Boeven says, "What's worse, these two arguments or indexing at one?" Indexing at one.
These two arguments. I don't give a fuck about indexing.
Mike Mick says the fat one really beat that straw man to death. Ha.
Not body shame.
Yeah, I'm
personal attack.
Right. Just because this guy doesn't understand like the argument for a universe out of quote unquote nothing, doesn't mean anything for.
Listen, donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
It doesn't mean anything for atheism in general, because atheism is just talking about what a person doesn't believe, right? But just because this guy doesn't understand that the scientific explanation for the inflation of the universe being that a quantum scalar field went from a false vacuum state to a true vacuum state, and that in turn released an immense amount of energy, which caused the universe to inflate near instantaneously and continue inflating after that. But the energy that filled this little bubble, if you will, it eventually transformed into a kind of energy that would eventually turn into the matter that we have today. Just because he doesn't understand that does not automatically mean that his God exists or that a God in general exists. But that's besides the point of whether or not this relates to atheism, because it doesn't.
It can't cause anything. Okay.
Yeah. And I think what you're saying basically is that although atheists are now claiming that they merely lack belief, they actually do positively affirm a number of propositions about how the universe and living things came to be and so forth.
They have no evidence for the idea that life came from non-living chemicals. That's the topic of another podcast. But no evidence whatsoever. In fact, the evidence is very much against it, but they have to believe it because of their belief system. That's a positive thing they have to believe, right?
Yeah.
No, it's not a positive thing that you have to believe. In fact, you can be a theistic evolutionist you can definitely be that. I mean, I feel like here he's conflating abiogenesis with evolution, though, because they're creation ministries, so obviously they're going to disregard evolution in general. But again, none of this has any kind of bearing on atheism. In this particular section, they talked about how atheists make a number of claims about things. But this is completely separate from the question of whether or not God exists. So while we do have a scientific explanation for the inflation of the universe, that does not say anything about whether or not a God exists. God could have been the one that, bumped the quantum scalar field with his tiny dick and shoved it into the true vacuum state. I mean, he did. I mean, he probably grew the glory just for us, honey. The glory of his cock. But, at this point, he nudged it forward with the tip of his dick, just the tip. And he could have created the entire, universe that way. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what caused this quantum scalar field to fluctuate. As far as I can tell in quantum mechanics, you don't necessarily need a cause for it to happen. But ultimately, I don't know. So me being able to explain the inflation of the universe to you does not say anything about whether or not a God exists. Now, what it does say is something about whether or not your particular definition of God exists. And that would be an argument that I would bring up to show you that your particular God doesn't exist. Because that's not what is that is not what is in your Bible. I feel like that I kind of fucked up that thing, but anyways.
Also, two only arguments.
Yeah.
Atheism is not the opposite.
Right. I agree.
It opens them up then to.
Hold on, before we go, Godless Blessing sent a super chat saying, "I'm an agnostic Christian atheist." I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean, but okay. Oh, okay.
Creationists and others make of their worldview commitments.
And it is a worldview commitment. That's makes no mistake about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, John, what are some of the other things that...
Another thing, atheism is not a worldview. I'm just saying, it's a description of what you don't believe in. I could say that I'm a Bigfootist. If there were, which there are romantic novels about Bigfoot, but if there was a religion devoted to Bigfoot, where its adherents numbered in the millions, and it was seen as weird not to believe in Bigfoot, I would definitely brandish the title a Bigfootist, right? Or fairies, or leprechauns, or Loch Ness Monster. Like, if you have societies that are primarily centered around whether or not a God exists, then there needs to be a label to describe people that don't do that. So it's not that it's a worldview, it's that it's a label for somebody that doesn't believe your bullshit. And that's it. It says nothing else about the rest of reality. It just, huh? You're a pineapple pizza?
Yes.
I think anybody that is clear-minded would be an a pineapple on pizzaist. Now, I'm going to anger people in the comment section like, I love pineapple on pizza. Go to fucking hell, you dare son of a bitch.
Well, John, what are some of the other things that all atheists or most
Oh,
atheists
yes,
believe?
tell us.
Because I think there's some things that you are actually quite interested in yourself about the idea of rationality. Where did rationality come from? If there's no... Look, Christians believe that God is the Logos. Jesus is called the Logos. We're created in God's image, therefore we should be logical.
Wait a second. Did this motherfucker just say that God is logical, so therefore we're logical? I mean, it just sanity check, honey. Is that what this motherfucker said?
I really don't know exactly what he said.
So I here maybe I'm hallucinating this bullshit. Hold on, let's go back and listen.
Rationality, where did rationality come from? If there's
Right.
look, Christians believe that God is the Logos. Jesus is called the Logos. We're created in God's image, therefore we should be logical. If we're
created in God's image, we should be logical because Jesus is called the Logos.
I think this like college and the college, they different.
Yeah, they do. So they're mixing up the terms here between psychology and religion, and I feel like they're them saying that God is logical, therefore we have to be logical, is really missing out on how illogical their God actually is. I mean, that their God is very illogical in the Bible. I mean, he gets irrationally mad over just using the wrong kind of fire to light your incense. I mean, he specifically requests how bedazzled his ark is so that he can fuck himself on it, but yet he can't say don't own slaves or don't rape kids, like, or anybody. Also, how logical is it that God, the all-powerful being of this fucking universe that could create everything at the snap of a fucking finger, but yet iron chariots kick his ass? The Bible's very illogical, and considering you're creationist, I'm guessing that you take in a very inerrant view of the Bible. Your God is not logical. Also, as far as rationality goes, it requires a mind to be rational about something. It's something that is an emergent property of a central nervous system that once it's become complex enough. You see, rationality, or the ability to be rational, exists whether or not a God exists. If a God doesn't exist, we can still be rational because that is how our minds work. And that's on a very a biochemistry type level there. Like, that's just how our minds work. That's how our minds work, as well as other sentient, semi-sentient creatures on this planet work. All right?
Right.
Thank you, hon, for affirming that for me.
If we're the rearranged pond scum, or as Darwin said, his brain's just an evolved monkey brain, why should he trust his own thoughts if it's just evolved monkey brain thoughts?
Yeah.
Woo! Beer money! Getting a lot of beer money tonight.
Just what you need, more beer money.
I know. Karan Williams says, I finally get to watch you live. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you so much there, Karan. Dave Lee says, coming up tonight, an apologetic improv, shaking my damn heathen head. But he brought up Darwin thinking that you couldn't really trust our monkey brains or whatnot. And I would say that is something that science has acknowledged for the longest time, as far as like a scientist goes. I mean, we've acknowledged how flawed our own brains are, and we've even worked that into the scientific method. We have known that our brains are not all that trustworthy when it comes to certain things. But see, the problem is that they have to have absolute trust.
Just a little bit of money.
They have to have absolute trust in their brains. Like, I don't understand why they would have absolute trust in their brains, or anything like that, because it would make sense if our brains could absolutely be trusted to allow us to experience the universe as it actually happens. If and only if we just simply experience things and we were never wrong. Like, that's what it seems like to me with this particular argument, because considering that our brains aren't 100% trustworthy, that means that we can be wrong. So if they are 100% trustworthy, that means we shouldn't be wrong about things. Other than KC, everybody is wrong at some point in their life. We had Almost a Doctor, which I'm Almost a Doctor and I is going to be doing another collaboration video here soon. He Almost a Doctor says, "Show us the new Brocephus mask." Oh, well, crap! It's over there on the thing. Thank you, hon. So it just really makes no sense to say that, to expect our brains to be 100% reliable. But this doesn't cause a problem for atheists, nor does it cause a problem for evolution or scientists in general. Mabbity Babbity says, "Can't even express how much I appreciate your take on these idiotic arguments." Thank you so much there, Mabbity Babbity. Let's see. Here's my new Brocephus mask. There we go. See, Brocephus. Hey, y'all know what? Anytime is a good time for a beer. Thank you, Uhan Roderick. Casey is wrong about Star Trek being superior. Pwned.
Nobody fucking asked you. You can't see me, but I'm holding up my top.
All right. So let's get back to this. Oh, we got a new member. Is it going to show up? We got a new member. Booyah! A little emoji rain there for you there, Karan. Thank you so much for becoming a member.
Yeah, and this is a problem that C.S. Lewis recognized, and you're right, I've written about it some myself, that why in an evolutionary universe would you expect human beings to emerge that have this capacity for reason, if ultimately everything that's going on in our brains boils down to the laws of physics and chemistry, non-rational processes, if you will, then where does rationality come in?
Why do they even call themselves free thinkers? Because of the atoms in the brain are obeying the fixed laws of chemistry. They can't help what they think. They're not really free thinkers under their own belief system.
Yeah.
Well, so free think, like, to be a free thinker doesn't mean that you can just think whatever in the fuck you want to thunk, right? I mean, it doesn't mean that.
Yes, it does. You people are free thinkers.
To brandish the label free thinker or whatnot just means that you're not restricted by like a religion or a doctrine or something like that. Or a cult. Listen, these two guys seem to just simply not even understand the conversation that they're having because they don't even understand the words that they're using.
I don't either.
I mean, yeah, you don't either. It's so weird for me to hear, because it's like, oh, well, if our brains are just chemistry, where does rationality come from? Well, rationality is like the act of being rational, or at least having your thoughts, let me actually look up the definition while this notification plays. Woo! That's KC's money.
Yes.
Uhan gave you money. So rational just means based on or in accordance with reason or logic. So reason is a cause, explanation, or justification for an action or event, or the power of the mind to think, understand, and to form judgments by a process of logic. So, I mean, these are processes that our complex nervous systems can go through. It's not so much an inherent quality. If being reasonable, rational, and logical were inherent qualities to a mind, then it kind of seems like, people would have that, just all the time. Like everybody would be reasonable, rational, and logical. But that's not what we see. These are processes that our brains go through. People can be irrational and unreasonable and illogical because of the fact that our brains aren't so statically defined as they want them to be.
Yeah. And the rejoinder, of course, typically is that, well, can't natural selection favor those with slightly, better powers of reasoning and so forth, and eventually give you something like the human mind?
But I think the problem is there that natural selection really is differential reproduction. It selects for reproductive success. I mean, you could think something really stupid and illogical and untrue if you leave more offspring because of that belief. That's what natural selection will tell you.
Yeah, it's going to favor as many evolutionists themselves have pointed out, it's going to favor behaviors. It's not trying to favor truth per se, and those don't necessarily coincide. You could have the right behaviors even if you believe something that's radically false.
Well, here's
yeah.
It still has nothing to do with atheism.
Right. None of this has anything to do with atheism, so I don't even know why. I mean, it's links to resources in the description. Oh my God. It's just a bunch of creationist bullshit. So now, I get the feeling they don't understand what natural selection is, or they wouldn't be talking about natural selection as if it's some kind of way to the truth of reality. I mean, natural selection is a process. It's a process. Of course, it's going to select for quote unquote behaviors or other different qualities of an organism that allow it to survive. It's not about getting to the truth of reality. It's about survival, you dipshits. Ox earlier said, just want to know if you got KC with that snowball. I didn't. I missed on purpose. Uhan Roderick. Hey, I pegged a tree later that day or the next day or something. I pegged a tree. I could have got you. Uhan Roderick says they are free from thinking. That counts.
Even if you believe something that's radically false.
Well, here's a problem for them is that if they believe even religious thinking is a part of evolution, they're admitting under their own position that illogical things like religion can be the result of selection. Therefore, they undermine their own belief system that selection produces logic or truth.
Yeah.
Who fucking says that evolution produces logic or truth? Who is making this argument? I don't know a single fucking person that is. I don't know why they have to speak about these things as if they're related to atheism. None of this shit relates to atheism. That's not even how natural selection has been proposed or even works. Like, nobody is simply making these claims.
Logical truth by their own attacks on religion as being an evolved phenomenon.
Yes, you often find this when it suits their own purposes. They will admit that, essentially, that natural selection can favor things that they think are radically false, like Christianity.
So where they draw the line? Is it only evolution that's exempt from this belief that somehow random processes can produce a true belief system like evolution, they think? Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, another area.
I think he just said that evolution's a belief system. It's fucking not. It's a scientific theory that's supported by mountains of evidence. The only kind of evidence that you guys have for your weird-ass creationism idea is a book. The Bible. Well, okay, I'll give you, it's 66 books in the Bible, but really for creationism, you're only concerned with like maybe the first book. Yeah, definitely just the first book. That's the only thing that you're fucking relying on there for your weird-ass creationism ideas. So, yeah, just one book, Genesis. That's it. That's all you got for your idea. We've got mountains of evidence. So, good luck. By the way, evolution is a fact, bitches.
Hey, y'all know what? Anytime is a good time for a beer.
Thank you, Mike Mick, for giving me a beer. Mike says, God hates free thinking. These two are cray.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, another area that we could talk about is morality. Atheists oftentimes make pronouncements about moral issues as well, don't they?
Well, they do sometimes, and I think there's a pitfall for...
Wait a second. Why does he have a lower third that says some atheists want morality? I mean, I have to point this out. I don't even know what that sentence is supposed to fucking mean. Quran says, or they can read me or they can read me because my name is the Bible. I did.
Pitfall for people to fall into is to say that atheists can't be moral, they can't be good people. Now, we don't actually say that. I don't think we do anyway. I mean, some of them were bad people, Stalin and Mao Zedong. I mean, last century was 100 million people killed by atheistic governments. Okay.
Yeah, and we would say...
Oh shit, this is a bigger one.
Thank you, Neil, the 604 Atheist, who says this should buy you a few beers. Thank you so much there, Neil. Appreciate you. Yeah, we're gonna have to go to the tap place so I can get me some more low carb ciders and beers.
Woo! Beer money.
Oh, somebody asked what you're drinking.
Oh. Yeah, it does. Can I just get the Joker one? This is called F&B IPA. It's a really low carb one. It's got 2.9 carbs and 95 calories. Features and benefits. Stone IPA. It's pretty good, pretty decent. Lisa for Truth sent a super chat saying you need to put a facepalm warning on these things. I would agree. Some shit happened, so I need to go back a little bit
as well, don't they?
Well, they do sometimes, and I think there's a pitfall for people to fall into is to say that atheists can't be moral, they can't be good people. Now, we don't actually say that. I don't think we do anyway. I mean, some of them were bad people, Stalin and Mao Zedong. I mean, last century
Listen,
was...
donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
Thank you, Jamie Wachowski, who's going to hell with all of us. So for this particular point, he's talking about state atheism, which is radically different than atheism. State atheism, as employed by like Mao and Pol Pot and everybody like that, that's really, really different, because what they were doing was they were replacing religion with the state, and so people basically had to worship the state like a religion, and it was called state atheism. That's radically different than atheism as it exists now in the current conversation with just general people. We're not looking to enforce state atheism on anybody. We just want to prevent creationists like this from talking to our kids.
By atheistic governments. Okay.
Yeah, and we would say, by God's standards, all are sinners. But the idea is, we're not claiming that every atheist, can't do something nice like give to charity or, adopt a puppy.
Or some atheists have wondered, where are the atheist charities?
Well, true.
Some atheists have actually said that. You look on our website, you can find that where they're complaining about a lack of atheist charities.
Yeah, but
well, fuck yourself. There's a lack of atheist charities.
No, I agree. There's not a lack of atheist charities. He also put up a list of all the charities that he could find. But considering the fact that the atheist population in America, at least, is significantly lower than the religious population, it's really no big surprise that there are way more religious charities, especially with the fact that religious charities get special privileges here in the United States. I mean, to be a 501c church, to be a tax exempt church, you really don't even have to fill out the tax documents to be tax exempt. You just have to fit the qualifications for being a church. And it's a very low bar to set too. I know because I've looked into this back when I was looking into this one woman on YouTube who was who had set up her quote unquote church as a 501c3. Sorry. And I looked it up, and you really don't have to file any 501c3 documentation, whereas like the secular charities or other charities that are set up, which I mean, every charity that's not a religious charity is a secular charity, which should be included on his list of charities, but we'll just walk right past that little shit. But though they actually have to like file tax documents in order to be a charity and be tax exempt. So, I mean, you get a lot of privileges with being a religious charity in America. So you trying to list out how there's not a lot of charities is not a convincing argument whatsoever for anything.
Also, do charity.
Yeah.
Like, not necessarily, but like help. Like script. So, I mean, some
right.
Not, but generally speaking.
True.
About a lack of atheist charities.
Yeah, but the main argument that we're going to emphasize here is this idea, not that atheists can't do good moral things, but the problem is, what's the foundation for morality in their own system? Can atheism provide the resources to give you an objective?
Yeah.
Who cares? Who cares what the foundation is for somebody to do good things? Like, what fucking difference does it make? If they're doing something good, why do you care what they believe underneath it? Why does it matter?
I don't know, honey. I don't think that it does matter, but they're trying to make it matter is the point.
Because they have to have something, which is really weird. Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, we do good shit without any idea that we're gonna get a reward for it, or any idea that if we don't do it, we're gonna be punished for it. Like, have that. We don't need that because we're fucking decent.
Yes, honey, we are fucking decent.
Sorry, this really grinds my gears.
I know it does, baby. He's talking about how do atheists ground their morality, or what's the foundation for an atheist morality. And just to put it quite bluntly here, I would say that most atheists don't believe in an absolute foundation. I don't see how you can get to an absolute foundation. You can be objective about your moral foundation, but ultimately we are the ones that determine our own morality. Now, we do have help from outside influences like parents, the society that we live in, the time in which we live in. So we have outside influences that help shape our moral foundation, but moral foundations are created by a mind with a complex enough central nervous system.
Donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
That's right. You're all going to hell, especially Jamie Wachowski. He's twice in hell now. He's got one of them front row seats in hell. Okay, you're going to need to speak up because this thing... Okay.
So Uwan said, speak for yourself. I'm indecent all the time. And then I like this one. How Long said, I tried to give a sandwich to a homeless person. He asked me if I had a good foundational reason to. Exactly.
Yeah.
To give you an objective right and wrong.
I mean, in case you're thinking that's just Christians setting up straw men from evolutionists, in fact, you can go to plenty of evolutionists who will say the same sort of thing, right?
Yeah. What I find is they sort of talk out of both sides of their mouth. You know, people like Richard Dawkins will say, on the one hand, well, he has all these strong statements about immoral things going on.
Or creations
even
of child abusers, basically. It's mental child abuse. That's
right. And he critiques the God of the Old Testament for supposedly being immoral and these sorts of things. So he seems to think there really is, there are things that are truly right and truly wrong on the one hand. But then on the other hand, he also says that at the bottom, there is no good or evil. Everything's blind, pitiless indifference in the universe. So there's no objective standard for right and wrong. It's whatever human beings invent.
This is such a fucking train wreck of a conversation between these two guys, because now they're mixing up the ideas of objective and absolute. What they mean is an absolute foundation that apparently Dawkins is saying that there's some kind of absolute foundation for morality. He's not, but they interchange it with objective. You can be objective about your moral foundation. Like we can say, oh, we can objectively say that this is bad. That does not mean absolutely. You can be objective about a moral foundation, but that does not mean that that being objective about it leads to a God.
Can I just say one thing that might not be popular with some atheists, but I just need all of the theists out there to know it. I don't give one single fuck what Richard Dawkins says, or Sam Harris, or any of the rest of them. We don't have gods in atheism. They ain't it. They don't make our rules. Nobody cares.
I agree. Before we continue, though, talking about being objective or absolute about morality, I mean, these guys are Christians. Not even Christianity has an absolute moral foundation. Their idea of an absolute moral foundation has changed throughout the ages. I mean, up until 1865, slavery was just fine. And they even, kept slaves and upheld slavery in the exact same ways. In the exact same ways as the Israelites did. So, I mean, up until 1865, slavery was just fine. And then it became bad. And over time, slavery has become an abhorrent thing that we can say objectively is wrong. But that's us with our rational minds and our chemical processes being objective about a moral claim, right? That doesn't mean that a God exists or that that's some kind of absolute, like, morally true statement. It's just we're being objective about it. We're stepping outside of our own position on it and objectively saying that that's bad. You can be objective about it, but you can't be absolute about it. That's the thing. And then if you wanted to go further with Christianity, up until what was it? It was in the early 20th century. Women couldn't even vote. They didn't have an opinion on things, right?
I have always had an opinion on things.
I know you have, honey. I hear them every day.
You're welcome.
Mabbity Babbity said, yes, Casey, this one's for you. My point is, though, is that even within Christianity, you don't have an absolute moral foundation. You have a foundation that changes, and it changes after society changes. After something has become normalized in society, that's when Christianity changes. So they don't ever lead, the changes. They always trail right behind them.
Now, tell me, are you familiar with this the 70s British sitcom called Fawlty Towers?
A little bit.
Okay, John Cleese as Basil Fawlty, a really silly.
Woo! Bear money.
hotelier who got into trouble.
Yeah.
And one of the things, he was so frustrated, he actually beat his car because it wouldn't start. And then Dawkins wrote an article about this, and he said, well, why were we laughing at Basil beating his car, but we don't laugh at a judge who punishes criminals? Because, he says, why vent visceral hatred on child murderers or thuggish vandals when we should simply regard them as faulty units that need fixing, replacing, like a car is? He says, that's what he says.
Yeah.
And presumably, he says, because mental constructs like blame and responsibility, even evil and good, are built into our brains by millennia of Darwinian evolution. So he says this, that good and evil are just illusions that natural selection has built into our brains, but have no objective reality outside of that. See,
Yeah, I know. I'm really tired of bearing the quote unquote sins of Dawkins, but I feel like what Dawkins was meaning there, which I'm sure that this is completely quote mined, because that seems to be all that creationists can do. But what it seems to me is that he's talking about people's, like, maybe not irrational hate for those types of individuals, but that we don't try to fix those people. We just brandish them as inherently evil and need to be either killed or locked away or something like that. I feel like Dawkins was advocating for, reforming these types of people instead of just sort of throwing them away, which, I mean, I'm very much for, reform in that kind of fashion. Currently in our system, I don't think that we really reform criminals, because that means that they will no longer be criminals if they are reformed. And that's not a very good business for the prisons. While Biden has ended the contracts for, like, private federal prisons, private prisons are still a thing, and they definitely don't want to reform the criminals. They want repeat customers. So I feel like maybe that is what he was talking about. I don't know, though, because you're obviously just pulling a single quote out of something that he said. I don't know what the surrounding context necessarily is. So that would be my best guess for that quote. But also, none of this has anything to do with atheism. Even the question of morality doesn't have anything to do with atheism. They have an issue with morality, evolution, abiogenesis, and the beginning of the universe, because their particular doctrine has answers for these things. And so if we're saying that they're wrong, then we have to have some kind of absolute answer that refutes them.
Dawkins said it, so it's atheist fault.
Dawkins said Dawkins 69-420. Got it. But because we can't give them some kind of page number where it talks about where the universe began or something like that, they have to lump all of this in with atheism.
This is Richard Dawkins, a leading misotheist in the world, probably.
Yeah. And Michael Ruse, another leading evolutionary philosopher, says, in essence, that morality is truly just an illusion. It's something foisted on us by natural selection and that sort of thing. So,
well, morality is an illusion in that, we don't control what we consider to be moral and immoral. I mean, we make those decisions, sure, but at least I don't think that I have the ability to control what convinces me. Like, if something convinces me, it convinces me. I don't get to sit there and force myself to be convinced about something. It's just something that happens. So if I'm convinced that something is immoral or moral, then it's an illusion in the fact that in the idea that we can't just freely choose what we consider to be moral and immoral. We don't control the process of being convinced. We either are convinced or we're not convinced. That's it.
Adolf Hitler is a result of natural selection too. So why is he wrong and say Mother Teresa right?
Yeah.
Okay, so for one thing, we had a whole war about how Hitler was fucking wrong. Also, Godwin's Law. And then third, Mother Teresa was kind of a shitty person. If any of you haven't seen Hell's Angel, it's a video you can find for free here on YouTube. You can watch it. It only costs you about 30 minutes of your time. But it's a Christopher Hitchens narrated documentary about what a piece of shit Mother Teresa was. I think that Mother Teresa was a horrible human being. Just like I think that Hitler was a horrible piece of shit. Okay? And I'm using my own subjective moral foundation in order to judge that. But also, he can't sit there and shit talk Hitler, especially with all of the very Christian-y things he said, both leading up to his takeover.
Shit, this is a bigger one.
Both leading up to his takeover of Germany and on into his dictatorship in Germany. He was very much a Christian. Now, it might not be the type of Christianity that Christians associate with now or anything like that, but it definitely was Hitler sucking Jesus' dick, right? He definitely did that. So you can't just sit there and act like, you're totally divorced from this idea of Hitler. Hitler was not an atheist, which I feel like that's what he would probably say, is that Hitler was an atheist. As far as morality goes, though, you have to understand, if you read the Old Testament, the Israelites are just like 6th century BCE Nazis. Essentially, they went in, they killed tons of people, men, women, children, innocent people. They enslaved people. You'd be hard pressed to make a cogent argument that differentiates Hitler from the Israelites in the Old Testament. You'd definitely find that you'd be hard pressed to make that kind of argument.
Reads are right.
Yeah. So there's a gaping inconsistency here where on the one hand, they're trying to affirm that there really are right and wrong things in the world. Like when they themselves when something evil is committed against them, or when they see injustice in the world, they think, oh, this is wrong. But how can that be in their own atheistic system?
They have to hijack a Christian belief system to try to attack Christianity. They can't do it from their own belief system.
You motherfuckers realize that this concept of morality existed way before Christianity did, right? Or even Judaism. The Code of Hammurabi, helped lay the foundation for future civilizations. So, you understand that Christianity doesn't have some kind of fucking trademark on morality or some kind of copyright on it. They weren't the first motherfuckers out there to lay down some kind of bullshit laws to govern their people and to beat into their minds this sense of what is right and what is wrong, which in the Bible is essentially, if it doesn't suck God dick, then it's evil. That's what it boils down to in the Bible. Daniel M. said, speaking of eye rolling, John, if you ever find yourself in an awkward position of having rolled your eyes at KC, just go in the other direction and unroll those eyes. This assumes that I've ever rolled my eyes at KC, in which I would not be alive right now. What? I will never admit that I've ever rolled my eyes at you.
I've rolled you.
Yeah, well, I'm a bit less serious about the eye rolling. Yeah, let's continue. We're almost at the end, I promise.
They can't do it from their own belief system. Well, you got William Provine, who's another. He's an atheist. Well, he's not anymore. He's dead. Okay. Now again, Provine, like Dawkins, uses evolution to push atheism, but he said what Darwinism mean is no God, but also no ultimate foundation for ethics, which means there's no ultimate right or wrong. He says so.
Yeah.
And no ultimate meaning in life, so you wonder why you bother getting out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
And he said no free will for humans either, which means he couldn't help saying that.
Well, so as far as meaning to life goes, I don't think that we all have to have the exact same meaning for life in order for it to make sense to get out of bed in the morning. I kind of feel like, I mean, because for Christians, especially these Christians, the ultimate meaning to life is to praise God and to do everything that God says. What up there, Jay Mixon? He says, yo, I'm a little late. That's okay.
We'll start over.
No, we won't.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
He can start the show over. Sorry, Jay. But for these guys, the ultimate purpose and meaning to life is to praise God, right? Atheists, we don't have any kind of ultimate meaning to life because we all have our own individual meanings to life. If you wanted something that was kind of absolute, I guess it would be to survive, right? But I wouldn't say that that's any kind of like real meaning. I mean, that's just kind of what we do. We survive day to day. As far as any meaning that actually has substance to it, I mean, we construct our own. We don't need a book to tell us what our life should mean to us or to give our lives meaning in general. I actually think that it's a little sad that you need to be told specifically what is right, what is wrong, like in a book and in an absolute way. Like most of the time when we get into this argument of morality and shit, they will often say, well, I would just go and kill a bunch of people if I didn't have God telling me that was bad. And I'm just sitting there like, where in the fuck in the Bible does it tell you not to go and just murder a bunch of people? Like, yeah, you got that one thing in the 10 Commandments that just said, hey, don't go and murder your neighbor. But you could definitely go and kill a whole bunch of foreigners and you'd just be perfectly fine. Like, you could go up to Canada and you could just slaughter a bunch of Canucks. And I mean, according to the Bible, that would be fine because it's a different nation. I mean, you can use the Bible literally to justify any moral position that you want to. All right. Plenty of people have done that. Got Gary White. Only cis deal in absolutes. Everyone knows that. Most of these pastors, preachers, priests are cis.
Listen, donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
Gary's got a front row seat in hell, apparently.
What are you doing?
I blew my load.
Thank you, Eric, for your donation.
And he said no free will for humans either, which means he couldn't help saying that.
So really, Jono, this goes back to the basic idea of the difference in worldview. We have the Christian worldview on the one hand that positively affirms that there is a God.
Yeah. And
atheism by the historical definition that affirms that no God exists. And this leads to a lot of other differences in our worldview.
Oh, but does it come down, did things make themselves or do they need a maker? That's basically what it down to. The atheists believe that things made themselves, basically, or came into being without any cause whatsoever.
Yeah.
No, that's not what... No. Again, you're extending atheism into an area that atheism simply doesn't touch on. I mean, we can discuss how things came to be, but even then, the way that you've described it here is not what we say. That's not what science says. The nothing that the universe popped into existence out of wasn't really nothing. There was still an electrical charge there. So this idea of nothing that you have is just nonsensical in this particular conversation. We got a donation from Metalhead. Don't know what good cause we are donating to, but here's some money for the cause. I'm so glad that you asked there, Metalhead, because all of the donations that we've been getting tonight through the super chats and the Skeptic Mafia memberships are going to go to feeding Texas. Sorry, a portion. My bad. A portion of all super chats are going to be going to feeding Texas. That's because they're going through Well, let's just say hell froze over. So that's what they're going through. Yeah, they're going through hell as they're thawing as well.
Attempt to sort of redefine atheism fails, and atheism itself fails to be consistent with the evidence that's all around us. As Romans 1 talks about, we have no excuse not to believe that there's a creator because God has given every person proof in the things that have been made.
Yep.
No, you see, here's the thing. If we have a natural explanation for how something came into being or why a process happens, then we don't need to interject a supernatural deity figure in order for that thing to happen. And because of this, everything that we've experienced in the past has been ultimately explained by a natural explanation. Therefore, we don't need a God to explain these things. Just because Paul says that, oh, everything is evidence of God, does not mean that everything is actually evidence of God. He was talking out of his ass. It always frustrates me when creationists specifically are like, well, everything is evidence for God. Trees, look at the trees, or look at anything fucking else, and it's apparently evidence of God. If I can explain to you how shit happens naturally, that means I don't need a God in order to explain it. The simplest process that I can think of to use as an example is rain. Does God cause it to rain?
Yes.
Yes. If you think God causes it to rain, can you do a rain dance? If you wiggle your dick and twerk your ass just right, is God going to get happy with you and cause it to rain?
Well, I can tap for that, but I'll try.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, if a simple process like rain that we completely understand does not need a God, then why is God the ultimate reason for that process happening?
All I know is hurricanes, gay people.
Hurricanes need gay people to exist?
What are you doing?
I blew my load.
Cadence blew KC's load.
Oh my God, please don't say that.
She says, here's some for the Texans. I'd donate more, but I was hit pretty hard too and survived off MREs the last couple of days and have to save for downed tree removal. Oh, that sucks there, Cadence. I appreciate you helping out a little bit. But I mean, you're in the Skeptic Mafia, so you're already helping out. But yeah, I appreciate it still. Definitely let us know if you need anything. All right, we're right here at the end.
No excuse not to believe that there's a creator because God has given every person proof in the things that have been made.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for those watching, thank you if you've made it this far, and we.
I blew my load.
This face right here is just the best, and we're actually going to go back to the home thing. We got
what are you doing?
I blew my load.
I think they just like making you say that.
I think so too. I had no idea you were going to keep that in.
Hey, y'all know what? Anytime is a good time for a beer.
Jay Mixon says, for my home state of Texas, Texas is greater than Alabama. Sorry, John, I'm an Alabamite now, I guess. Vanta Blue says, just gonna double cadence donation. Stay safe, y'all. Thank you, Vanta. Appreciate that. Marty, the mad scientist, says, stop wiggling. Too much rain where I live. Also, we Canadians are getting nervous because Americans keep joking about invading. Otherwise, fun show. Listen, I'm not going to be the one invading. For the most part, I can tell the Trumpers, they just think that you guys steal our shoes. So, well, that's going to be it for the show tonight. We are about to go into the Skeptic Mafia comments, which I still need to pull up. But I hope that you guys enjoyed the show tonight. I know I did. I'm really kind of glad that I dispensed with the today I learned and comments and everything like that, because we'd still be halfway through this video by now. But if you guys don't know, the Skeptic Mafia gets to leave comments on the videos that we watch every Friday night. And we're about to go through those. If you don't want to stay for that, I still appreciate you guys being here, watching this, being with me while I went through this train wreck of a fucking video. Oh God, it's going to take a lot more. Like, I've got this Joker apples, or it's not apple cider. Yeah, it's apple craft cider. But it's dry, so there's not like a lot of carbs in it. There's like 3 carbs in this entire thing. So I'm probably going to need another one of these in order to lubricate my brain enough to recover. But we're about to go through the Skeptic Mafia comments. If you're going to be leaving out, really appreciate you guys. But if you will, leave a like on this video. Just go ahead and smash that like button. And be sure to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Like I said, appreciate you guys being here. Leave me a comment too. Oh, that's what I meant to say. Leave me a comment. That really helps me out in the algorithm. And otherwise, I guess I'll see you heathens later. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, guys. Heathens. But don't go, huh? Okay. Don't go because we got comments. Uhan left his a minute ago. Let's see if we can get to the Skeptic Mafia comments here. There we go. Should do. Daniel M says, I did not get a chance to look through the video, and if you join the Skeptic Mafia, you will understand. Join the Skeptic Mafia and be cool with us. You get to have fun comments on videos, talk about whale penis, and make John say, I'm totally going to start indexing at 1 from here on out. No, I'm not. Anyway, by the time you read this, I will have already been chatting some in the comments. I will have seen you there. Thank you there, Daniel. I appreciate you being here, bud. We got Drew's Book Reviews, who says, almost forgot to get a comment in. Hope you had a good stream. Just stopping by to say hi and ask, do you ever feel just anxious when certain things come up in life? Things you know probably won't be nearly as worst case scenario as your paranoia mentally makes you believe. Even when those things happen every year and you should really know what to expect by now, but you still get anxious and it drives you crazy till you know it's done and dealt with. Yes, we have tax season too. Just drives me crazy that that's been my night. Been hard to focus, and I find my mind dwelling on things I know to expect, but fear the worst, and it never as bad as I fear. I know how you feel. Oh well, at least we have GE to entertain us and try to keep our mind off things. Too bad I can't watch tonight. Anyway, everyone, hope you had a great night and keep on reading. Thank you there, Drew. Vanta Blue says, I think what really wraps up their viewpoint on atheism is Christian charities. Atheist charities. I didn't mention that earlier. Thank you, Vanta. They had charities in quotations. Did you hear that, honey? They had charities in quotations because obviously atheists can't have charities. The fuck do you think this is?
Might have to admit, not totally shitty.
Yeah, they might have to admit that, and whatever comes with that.
What am I thinking? We're the shittiest people.
We are the shittiest people.
Just the worst.
Just the absolute worst.
Yeah.
I hope you'll subscribe and become the absolute worst pieces of shit of society.
And then we'll all go to hell again.
We will have a front seat to hell. Gary White says, Vanta said, finishes with, atheists can do no right in their view. Obviously. Actually, I do believe that's in the Bible, that atheists can't ever do anything good or right. And we're fools. Gary White says, oh, looks like some random moron lulling us to sleep with some nonsense. I facepalm most of the time. Can't wait to see the look on your face and rip him a new one. Thank you there, Gary. Quentin Van Boeven says, hold on, we can end this before the video starts, as he said the answer. Atheism.
What are you doing?
I blew my load.
Atheism is a lack of belief, nothing more, nothing less. Even if atheism was affirming a lack of God, y'all would still have the same amount of burden of proof that there is a God. Agnosticism is saying, I don't know if a God exists, therefore you can be both an atheist and agnostic at the same time. You don't know if a God exists, therefore you lack a belief in a God. Simple. I don't know. Simple. I don't know what is so hard about that idea for these people. It's like these people don't want words to change with culture. Then again, many believe the Bible shouldn't change either, so big surprise there. We'll stop here before I write an essay again. I know I said I was going to stop, but I had to finish the video, and they said one thing that just made me lose my shit. Atheists have to believe something came from nothing. I'm sorry. Where did God come from? And where did the stuff God made the universe of come from? We just gonna push that goalpost to the next planet. That they are. Special pleading is fucked. That's right. GE, insert one generic shilling here, please. If you guys don't know, the Skeptic Mafia is awesome. You get a podcast every Tuesday, and there's a monthly hangout every week, every month.
And emojis.
And emojis. You get emojis in the side chat. You can use all the emojis you fucking want to. The more members we get, the more emojis we get. Thank you, Quentin, for your comment. Will, Prince of Fetch, says,
is never going to happen.
All right, honey. I'm still listening to this garbage, and I don't know how much more I can take. I think I might have a stroke if I don't stop it. On another note, I know I've been gone a while since I've been taking my adorable and awesome godson. Yes, I'm a godfather who doesn't believe a lick of Catholic doctrine. That's okay. On weekends, but why did I need to renew my membership when it is supposed to be auto-renewing? YouTube is a giant jerk for canceling it and not bothering to tell me. Okay, mini rant over. Look forward to you mocking them while tearing their shitty arguments to shreds. It's arguments. Yeah, I hope I didn't disappoint there, Will. Thank you so much for coming back to the Skeptic Mafia. Shell F says, what? Christians completely misrepresenting atheism? No, that never happens. Ever. Oh my God, my brain hurts. I just need a moment. I'll see you guys during the stream. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. And if you want to, feel compelled to drink an entire bottle of, if you want to, damn it. If you want to watch these videos early, join the Skeptic Mafia. Okay, later. Thank you.
I think it's hilarious that you do that like a basic bitch.
Do
when
I?
It's Michelle.
I read it like a basic bitch?
Yeah. You read it kind of Valley Girlish. It's really funny.
Is it?
Yeah.
I hope she doesn't take offense to that.
She won't. I've been calling her a basic bitch forever. It's her own fault.
Yeah, she just sent a super chat, so we'll get that here in a minute. Dave Lee. Huh?
She also sounded drunk.
Dave Lee says, I just can't with this one. They are straw manning word usages. I know, right? Did anyone else get 1970s flashbacks from the wood paneling? Yeah. Shake my fucking heathen head. Side note, it's my granddaughter Claire's first birthday today. I'm not sure if I'll be around for the live stream later tonight. I'll pop in if I can.
He was here for a minute. Not here.
Okay. Well, maybe he'll hear his comment being read and he can hear this. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Claire. Happy birthday to you. All right. Thank you, Dave, for being part of the Skeptic Mafia and leaving a comment. Zach Clark says they complain about how people are trying to redefine atheism as a lack of a belief in a God. Do they realize that the meaning of words can and does change all the time? No, they don't realize that shit. Yeah, that would mean that they are kind of, aware of the conversation they're having. It seems like they're willfully unaware of the conversation they're having. Jonathan Nickel, here till midnight? GE usually starts his stream around 2:30 a.m. my time. I'd go all the way around for you. I'll no doubt leave my comment, then watch tomorrow before I get my first COVID vaccine, which has been booked for mid-afternoon. Way to go, Jonathan! For now, though, I'll try to give a brief response to a long video. I hear all the usual creationist talking points, from arguing about definitions of words to trying to conflate atheism with evolution and any aspect of science they don't agree with. Later, they try to claim the moral high ground as though Christianity knows anything about that. So we could sum this up as two gobshites talking crap about atheism, so much BS that the bull has somehow evacuated its own brains through its rectum. This is from a creationist organization, though, so I wouldn't expect anything less. Oh, man, that was great. Thank you there, Jonathan. I appreciate that. Gobshites. Urban Imposter says, these people be dumber than a bag of gold hammers. To answer your question, you got it right in your first part of your description. The rest of it, probably just some talking heads spewing the same old BS. All right. Command Cyborg. It's like they thought, let's see how tall we can build this stack of equivocation fallacies. They really don't like having the ball in their own court, do they? And since the theist side mostly argue for a vague deistic first cause anyway, weirdly tied to the basis of morality by the power of hand waving, it just suits them. It just suits them right. It's not that the Bible God is coherent enough to be true as described anyways, so I can sort of understand why, annoying as fact though. I better stop before I cover more. GE said only do 1 point. Smash all the buttons, join us, and play with the whale peen. Transmission terminated. Yes, thank everybody so far, and anybody continue after this, for trying to make your points a bit concise. I just knew that it was going to be really long tonight, so I wasn't going to have much time to go through stuff. Trickster, well, right from the start, they want to change the meaning of words so they can build a straw man and run off the goalpost. It is not a positive statement to say, I do not believe you. It is a bad practice to start an argument about belief in a God or gods to say if God exists. You have already hurt your case. It is the same as me saying if Bigfoot is real or if the Loch Ness Monster is real. Same old tired and debunked arguments, running with the goalpost and building straw men, but not showing any evidence to put a little fuel behind your claim. Like, subscribe, and share, and show GE a little love by hitting that bell to be notified. GE is going to tell you about what it means to be part of the Skeptic Mafia. Bye all, and be good to one another. Thank you so much there, Trickster. What it means to be in the Skeptic Mafia, you've got a really great community, people that will support you, in the live streams and off the live streams. You also get a podcast every Tuesday. You get a monthly hangout. You get emojis in the chat. You just get... there's a lot of shit that you get for, what it costs to be part of the Skeptic Mafia every month. Jonathan Hernerchuk says, dumpster fire, here we come. I hope everybody had a great night. You should become one of us. One of us. One of us. One of us. Sorry, that hurt my hand a little bit. Then we got the Ruined Warrior saying, I can only get 3 minutes in. I refuse to watch this without support. The straw man caught between this Dunning-Kruger machine is overwhelming. Edit, my curiosity got the better of me. I tried to watch more, but I can only stand another 2 minutes. Yeah, trust me. I got you. I mean, I feel the exact same way. I mean, I didn't even make it to the end. Like, this is the first, like, tonight is the first time that we even got to the Richard Dawkins, quotation part. I had not heard anything prior to that point. Jay Mixon left a comment saying, just comment. Thank you there, Jay. I think that I got everybody else. Again, thank you, heathens. Hold on real quick. Again, I just want to say thank you so much, Skeptic Mafia, for trying to keep your points concise. I really appreciate that. It makes it a little bit easier on me, but I love having y'all's inputs on this. And I know that it was a lot to take in tonight. I appreciate y'all sort of sticking around, sticking it out with me and everything like that. Let's see. We had Metalhead, who did a super chat, saying, here's a few more dollars just to make GE say he likes Battlestar Galactica over Star Wars and Star Trek. It depends on which series you're talking about. The originals, because I haven't seen those. The newer ones, I like them. I like the newer series. I'm not exactly sure if it's better than Star Wars or Star Trek. It is really awesome, though. So, appreciate that. Oh, no. I refreshed it and I got it.
Okay, so sorry.
That's okay.
I just...
Okay. Thank you for that. Michelle F says, FYI, that's a real typo I decided to leave in there. Lol.
Did you also... Because I saw it. I saw W. Robles. It just...
Let's see. I did scroll through. Oh, wait. There he is. He was smashed in between Gary and Quentin. Hold on 1 second, guys.
Hey, y'all know what? Anytime is a good time for a beer.
I have a feeling Kitty would agree with that. Michael W. Robles says they neglected to mention me, the atheist, one who holds that a belief in any god or gods is completely irrational. It is well beyond the time for mankind to grow up and accept that there is no cosmic daddy watching over us and no devil making us do bad things. We are on our own. So to all you theists out there, stop letting jerkwads like these two take advantage of you. Grow the fuck up. Oh, and have a nice day. To GE and KC and the rest of you heathens, stay clean and masked.
I'm gonna stay dirty. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yep.
I'm just kidding.
I think KC just said she wasn't going to take a shower, guys.
That is kind of what I said.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Can I tell you, Jane said she tried to make the comment, but it wouldn't let her for some reason.
Oh.
So she wanted to say, when he talked about God being Logos, God is not Logos. Jesus and God are not the same. I'm not sure I would agree with that. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think that the Bible can definitely be used to support the argument that, God and Jesus are one and the same. I mean, particularly, I know in the Gospels, Jesus both references how they're different, but how they're also the same. I don't know how that really works, but I just know that in the Bible, you can use Jesus's own words to support either situation. Obviously, I don't think he's either because I don't think he existed even physically on Earth. So. And then we got Kitty the Atheist who sent a super chat saying, love you guys. Thank you so much there, Kitty. Appreciate you.
Donating this much money only secures your seat in hell.
Going to hell.
Daniel M is I think he's triply going to hell or doubly. I think that's the second one. But there it is. More to donate before we go to sing for David's birthday too. For those who might not know, his 4th birthday was Monday. Oh yeah, I can sing for David real quick. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear David. Happy birthday to you. There you go.
Hey, y'all know what? anytime is a good time for a beer.
Oh, okay. You gotta love YouTube, like, doing all these comments, getting them all caught up and shit. Okay, so Jonathan Hanchek. So I finally finished listening to two morons that don't know that the moron they're morons. Evidence, goddamn evidence of what they have, nothing, no evidence other than a stupid book written by a bunch of stupid, unintelligent fucking moron. How do you compete with people that are so dumb that they believe anything that is written down? Shit, rip a new one there, Jonathan. Fuck. I find it extremely hilarious that people will use one book to show them what they should and shouldn't be doing. Normally, when I find historical information, there's facts and evidence to show examples of how they know or possibly explain exactly what possibly could have happened. For some reason, people don't realize that facts can be changed or altered. To help the story of anyone that wished to twist, or we tell the story just like when we were young, we used to play the game called telephone and see how fucked up our words would change by the time it makes it to the end. Yeah, the telephone game is pretty fucky. Also, stories just naturally change over time, especially the time frames in which the Bible was written in. All right. Well, we had Uhan Roderick, who says, what is the prime directive? Non-intervention.
I already.
Okay.
In pre-warp society. And not just space travel. That's what you said on the trivia. That's not true. Warp travel.
Okay. Zach Clark also says, I think I belong in hell too. See y'all there. I should probably make a specific tier that is just the going to hell tier. Anyways, all right, heathens. Well, it's been awesome hanging out with y'all tonight. Xander's already in bed, so I gotta go say goodnight to him and everything like that. And I hope that you guys have an awesome night, an awesome weekend. I'm thinking about possibly having a call-in show tomorrow afternoon. It'll have to be after the Bragging Rights trivia show. If you guys don't know, one of our Skeptic Mafia members, Uhan, hosts a trivia channel where you can go and you can play a trivia twice a week, it seems. And it'll be on at 1 p.m. Central tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's Bragging Rights here on YouTube. And I guess I will see everybody later. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice and all that kind of good shit. I'll see you guys. I'll see you heathens on Monday.
My load.
Casey blew her load again, guys.
It was supposed to end on that. Why you gotta ruin it?
Do it again, honey.
The moment has passed.
Oh. She blew her load, guys. Bye.